What is going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from Marvel, DC, and even IDW. This time, we are going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and pick up with the Ultimate Marvel Universe again. Now, last time we covered the Ultimate Marvel Universe, we just wrapped up the Ultimatum event. Now we move on to the next phase, which is the aftermath of Ultimatum, Ultimate Requiem. And in this video, we are going to cover the Ultimate Fantastic Four Requiem. And honestly, this book is very essential since it does tell us how the Human Torch is saved from Dormammu. And so if you like today's comic book video, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. So the first few pages are used as a way to remind us what happened in the Ultimate Fantastic Four tie-ins for the Ultimatum event, and a bit of Ultimate Spider-Man tie-ins as well, where we saw the Human Torch meeting Spider-Woman and thinking that she would be a great girlfriend for him, and so he instantly fell in love with her. But then the story jumps forward right before the flood hit New York, where we see Human Torch arguing with his father, Franklin Storm, about his future. Again, this was a complete review on what happened to Johnny Storm before the flood hit New York, to the point where we see Johnny and Franklin Storm get hit by the Ultimatum wave. And you see Johnny try to save his father, but he passes out from being underwater, which you would assume he would be dead. This leads to Johnny Storm waking up 3 hours after the flood has hit, and we see Johnny confused about what has happened to the city. And so you have Johnny fly over to the Statue of Liberty, where he is able to get a look of what had happened to the city. And he sees that everything is gone in the city. And for him, this is hard to see because just a couple hours ago, the city was okay. Now this leads to Johnny Storm having a breakdown and him arguing with the Statue of Liberty, how it was a gift from France and it was supposed to be a form of protection for the US or stand for that. And so for Johnny Storm, the Statue of Liberty has failed to protect the city. But this leads to the Statue of Liberty actually coming to life, where it tells Johnny how it is not at fault for the flood that came out of nowhere that wiped out the city. But this leads to Johnny Storm being grabbed by the Statue of Liberty and tells Johnny that it is going to teleport him into the Dark Dimension. Of course, the leader of the Dark Dimension is Dormammu, and this is where things get weird because we learn that Johnny Storm is going to be used as a way to power up Dormammu, since they are both creatures of flames as Dormammu puts it, and so he is going to use Johnny Flames to finally escape the Dark Dimension. And we learn as the hours pass by and Johnny is trapped in the Dark Dimension, the rest of the Fantastic Four were doing the same thing they were doing in the Ultimatum event. Ben Grimm and Susan Storm getting ready to save Johnny, while Reed is out with the other heroes getting ready to fight against Magneto. Now, the story does jump forward to the same moments we saw in Ultimatum number 4, where we saw Dormammu arriving into the Ultimate Universe and getting ready to take over the Ultimate Universe, where he is greeted by Doctor Strange. And we know he was killed by Dormammu because we saw it in Ultimatum number 4. After Doctor Strange was killed, we saw the arrival of Susan and Ben Grimm. And so now we get to see what had happened after they arrived, because in Ultimatum number 4, this was the last time we saw them, and so we get to learn how they do against Dormammu. But this leads into the reason why I don't like the Ultimate Fantastic Four run that much at the end, because we see Ben Grimm and Susan Storm actually battle against Dormammu and are able to hold their own, which they should not be able to do since Doctor Strange was killed before this battle. except we see that Susan Storm realized that Dormammu is not really a powerful being from the dark dimension. She tells Johnny to use all of his flames, because remember, Johnny flames are powering Dormammu. And then after a huge explosion, we learn it's just a man with some tech. Like Dormammu, this powerful being from the dark dimension, is really just a man who has some high level tech, or he was a high level wizard who was able to use magic to give him an appearance of Dormammu. Either way, Doctor Strange could not win, but Susan and Ben were able to win this battle. This leads to a couple pages where we finally pick up in the present moment. The Fantastic Four finally arrive back at the Baxter building at the same time Reed Richards does. We see that Susan is upset at Reed, and we're going to learn why later on, but she walks away to check up on Johnny, letting us see them having a brother and sister moment here, because now their father is dead, and technically they're supposed to be parentless now, but kinda not. And the reason why I say that is because in this book there is a huge error, and you'll see what I mean here in a moment. We then get Ben Grimm checking up on Reed to see how he is doing and what had happened with the whole ultimatum thing. You have Reed tell Ben Grimm that this is all Dr. Doom's fault, but then you have Reed turn it back saying it is his own fault because Reed created Dr. Doom. He created a villain who went on to kill the Scarlet Witch, and that made Magneto snap and kill millions of people. Reed is telling himself if Victor was not there at the experiment that gave the Fantastic Four and him their powers, none of this would have happened. We then get a one-pager of us seeing Ben Grimm going over to Latveria and killing Dr. Doom like he did at the end of Ultimatum. Now telling you now, the Doom he killed is Mary Storm, who took Doom's place since the real Doom is supposed to be trapped in the zombie universe still. And we are going to see that she is not dead in this book, but in a later story, they tell us that that was her. Hence why I say this is a huge mistake by Marvel. Then we pick up at the funeral of Franklin Storm, and it is supposed to be a moment for them to say goodbye to the man. For Susan and Johnny, they said everything is lost now because he is gone. And this is where you have Reed do something that he thought would be a good idea to do at a funeral. Try to propose to Susan again. And remember, she said no before, but he thought maybe this time she would say yes at her father's funeral. And she tells him no again, and that she is upset because he decided to save the world rather than trying to save her first. The last 4 pages tell us that the Fantastic Four are officially over, and we see Ben Grimm go and join S.H.I.E.L.D. And he had received an offer from General Ross back in the middle of Ultimatum. And we see that Johnny Storm is traveling around the world, and we see him in France at the moment, telling us he is gone for the time being to clear his head. Susan Storm has kind of taken over the Baxter building like her father used to do. We even see her with Mary Storm, which after this book, we will not see Mary Storm ever again because she is dead. Finally, for Reed, we see him just go back home to his parents' house. And this is a huge step back for him in life because his father hated him and would verbally abuse him. And so seeing him coming back here is rough. But this is the end of this story right here. And so guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'm out of here, and I'll see you in the next comic book video. Later guys.